Good evening. Welcome to the Pullman City Council meeting for this Tuesday, June 28th. Nice to have you here. And this is the meeting before the 4th of July weekend, and so we will not be meeting next weekend. But Dee, how about taking roll?
Mayor Johnson.
Here.
Councilmember Benjamin.
Present.
Councilmember Dubin.
Here.
Councilmember Guido.
Here.
Councilmember McCall.
Here.
Councilmember Parks. Councilmember Weller.
Present.
Councilmember Wright.
Both Ann Parks and Pat Wright notified us they could not be here tonight. Do I hear a motion to excuse?
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That with the announcements tonight, because we have a holiday coming up, I'll give you a couple of announcements here that City Hall and most city departments will be closed on Monday, July 4th to observe Independence Day. Normal operations will resume on Tuesday, July 5th. And we have a news release from our police chief that effective July 2nd, Pullman City Code prohibits the discharge of personal fireworks in the City of Pullman parks or within city-owned facilities and grounds. Only permitted fireworks displays authorized by the fire chief may take place in these areas. Any person found in violation of this ordinance shall have committed an infraction, will be subject to a $250 penalty. Local ordinance was adopted in 2021 when dry conditions posed extremely high risks of fire danger across the region. Washington state law requires a 1-year waiting period before local firework ordinance may take effect. And as far as the 4th of July ceremony, the reason we have one that is permitted inside Sunnyside Park, and we have a number of things we're getting back. We did fireworks there last year. We didn't have anything official from the Chamber of Commerce. This year we're starting to crank it up. So we have a little bit. So we will have at 5:30 the community band of the Palouse will be performing. At 6:30 Dan Marr will perform, and then DJ Goldfinger will be doing music through the decades, all the way up till about 10 o'clock when we have our fireworks display. We also will broadcast on New Country 104.3 the music that's coordinated with the fireworks. Timber at the Lumber Yard will be selling hot dogs and hamburgers starting at 6 o'clock at the Sunnyside picnic area. Pullman Transit will be providing free bus rides to and from the celebration to Sunnyside Park starting around 4:30. There are donation jars, and if you donate, that'll go to the Chamber of Commerce to help pay for the fireworks. We also have a couple of proclamations that Parks and Recreation are an integral part of communities throughout the country, including the city of Pullman. And whereas Parks and Recreation promote health and wellness, improving the physical and mental health of people who live near parks, and whereas Parks and Recreation promote time spent in nature, which positively impacts mental health by increasing cognitive performance, I therefore, Glenn Johnson, the mayor of the city of Pullman, proclaim July as Parks and Recreation Month. Just to make sure you know that we can celebrate that. And then there's also a July 15th, which is Parks and Recreation Professionals Day. So we have it all covered in July, so you know that. We also have a couple of other announcements. Time is running out to provide feedback for the Project Downtown Storybook, a digital guide that outlines several design concepts aimed at building a better downtown for all. Please visit the www.projectdowntownpullman.org, and you can contribute to those comments. Pullman Parks and Recreation on the second Saturday, July 9th, gather at Rainey Park on the next second Saturday event. Games, music, fun for all ages will all take place there. Concerts in the park kick off July 13th with a community band. That'll start at 6 o'clock at Rainey Park. Movies in the park, July 15th with Encanto. And it starts at dusk at Rainey Park, free popcorn and snow cones. And then there's some Lentil Festival events that are open for registration. And you can register by August 12th for events that take place on August 20th. Just go to the Pullman website, look for Parks and Recreation. You can have more details there. So those are the announcements tonight. And with that, we now start with presentations. The first presentation will be Project Downtown Pullman Workshop. Sean Colts, our Public Works Director, will do the introductions. So, Sean?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight we have with us two of our consultant team from Welch Comer Engineers, Phil Boyd and Courtney Kramer. They're going to give an update on Project Downtown Pullman, as well as solicit feedback from the council. So I'll hand the baton to Phil.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members, for having us here tonight. Mayor, as I move through their presentation, I'm glad to take questions as we go, if that's appropriate. Okay. Might be a little easier. There we go. Okay, so the objective tonight is to present to the council refresh your memory about the process, the steering committee recommendation projects that we've been working through, the communication feedback, which Courtney Kramer will talk about, and then solicit guidance from the council if we're headed in the right direction. I'll show you the funnel that I've used before to kind of demonstrate the process that we're moving through. So tonight is, not necessarily big decisions from council, but general direction and guidance to the consulting team and the steering committee. So that's what I hope to accomplish tonight. To do that, I'm going to refresh our memory about the project purpose for phase one, talk about the process and where we're at in the process. Courtney will talk about community engagement, and then we'll get into some of the details about the capital projects. So the purpose of the project, everyone remembers the master plan. We start really big, and we're moving in and refining some of the concepts into to get a little bit more specific on it. We also are truth testing some of the concepts. The master plan, you put all kinds of stuff in there, but it turns out that, some of them may not be feasible. We're soliciting public communication. I need to say that the city should be extremely proud of the effort you have undertaken and funded, because a lot of different projects that I've done of this type over the last 20 years, this is by far the best public engagement process. So I think you guys should be really proud of the effort that you've undertaken. Also developing cost estimates, because we've got to get a feeling about that. That's a little bit of a wild card, and I'll talk about that. And then prioritizing projects. So that's the purpose of phase one. The master plan concept, you guys have seen this before, so I'm not going to hit it in detail. Those were the 6 plan priorities that came out of the master plan. And we're working really on 2, 3, and 4, where infrastructure drives those in particular. The capital projects, again, these are identified in the master plan. Talking a little bit about some of the stuff that gets kind of thrown out when you start to boil down, and I'll just pull an example out, Pine Street Plaza and the Festival Street. That was an idea that everyone was really excited about in the master planning. As we started to dig into it and look at it, the return on investment to put infrastructure dollars there and what the community might get out of that, gosh, it just didn't rise to really even make the list. So that's part of this process that we're trying to identify the key projects that will drive investment, private investment in downtown. So where are we at in the process? So this is, we're at step 5 here. We're in the process of soliciting broad public input. The mayor mentioned that in his presentation, the opportunity for the community to comment. We're here looking for council direction in big, round thoughts. And then once we're done here, we'll go back to the steering committee and say, gosh, here's what council said. We need to work on this area, refine a little bit more. We'll come back in August and present ideas to council for hopefully your final feasible projects that will come out the bottom end. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Courtney Kramer, and she'll walk through the process that we've been going through on the community engagement. We want to make sure, again, that the community is aware of what we're doing, and for you also to hear about what the community has been telling you and us.
Good evening, Mayor Johnson and members of the Pullman City Council. It's a pleasure to be here with you this evening. I do want to echo Phil's comment on commending you for your investment in public engagement early in this process. As somebody experienced in working with small businesses in a Main Street setting, we can't shy away from the fact that a major project that, like what we're talking about here, is disruptive to businesses, but giving those entrepreneurs almost a full year of lead time to plan their business, to be able to handle something like this is really an important investment, and I think you're going to see great returns from that while the project's under construction and then afterwards as well. Our approach to public engagement for this project really incorporated 3 phases. The stakeholder engagement, which is prioritized conversations with business and property owners, right? These are the folks that have invested their dollars, their middle of the night worries, and much of their lives in downtown Pullman. Also, community organizations that have an interest in downtown Pullman's vitality, as well as the arts and entertainment organizations that really can help enliven downtown. We've also talked to a myriad of individuals about their interest in downtown Pullman. We built on stakeholder engagement with the steering committee, and the steering committee is appointed by the City Council, by Mayor Johnson, and it's a representation of downtown property owners and business owners to give us feedback and to verify that, or to help us validate that the feedback we're receiving is consistent and it's not just an outlier viewpoint. The steering committee also has helped us affirm concept designs, and we have in many situations given them do you like A or B? Okay, you chose B. Now do you like C or D? A little bit of that eye doctor experience for them. With steering committee input and that stakeholder engagement, we were able to create the project Downtown Pullman Storybook. One of our colleagues really nailed it when she said, you know, it's all about the stories we tell ourselves, right? We needed to give the community a story for how the community chose to make specific improvements with the funding that you all have available. This is a list of many of the individuals and organizations that we've met with since we last saw you in March. It is very much representative, not necessarily comprehensive, but it's just an indication that we've really tried to connect with as many people as possible. Would certainly welcome a note from you all if you think we've missed someone. We really do want to work to wrap up public engagement by mid-July so that we can come back to you in early August with a fully cooked cake, if you will. And I do appreciate, Mayor Johnson, you including the note that we are taking comment on the project Downtown Pullman Storybook through July 8th. Our engagement really began with a downtown property and business owners meeting on April 26th. Invitations were mailed to over 250 downtown property and business owners. I'd like to thank the city's GIS department for helping us pull that data together so that we could get a paper invitation into people's hands. We were really thrilled with the outcome. Over 45 stakeholders attended, and they really gave us clear direction on project priorities. We've met with the steering committee now 3 times. We'll meet the 4th time next Friday, July 8th. And we're really grateful to those individuals for helping us validate that public input, for providing concept design feedback and project recommendations. I do want to thank Councilor Guido, the member appointed to the steering committee, for her participation, as well as Councilor McCall for their care in making sure to track what's happening with this project. As we pushed the project Downtown Pullman Storybook out to the community, it was really important to partner with our businesses to get that QR code, to get that prompt in front of the public, to meet the public where they are. And so we're grateful to these businesses for hosting little table tents or sometimes stickers on to-go boxes that alerted the public in a way that was fairly low-key, but also accessible, of the ability to engage with this project. We also partnered with several organizations to leverage their channels in order to get information out to the public. We're grateful, of course, for the City of Pullman. Matt Young, the communication coordinator, has just been fantastic to work with. The Downtown Pullman Association also has shared posts on their channels, as well as the Pullman Chamber of Commerce. The data on impact is about 2 weeks old when we provided this information to the city for council packets, but we are pleased with the reach so far on the digital engagement. And then this data as well was as of last week, and I have new data to share. As of this week, we're at over 4,200 views of the storybook. We've received 51 survey responses, and the website itself has had over 1,300 visits. The interesting thing about this, of course, is that we want to be careful about not getting sucked into using the quantitative data to make a recommendation, but really partnering it with the qualitative feedback we've received. And so it's been a productive use of our tools to gather this feedback and then pair it with that quantitative information. Thus far, we've received several, nearly, I think 75 Storybook comments. They primarily are around things that the public will see, touch, and feel. A big part of this project is the underground infrastructure, and I hate to tell you, but nobody's commenting to ask which type of water line you're going to use. They are more interested in street trees, lighting, traffic, things that they will be able to see, touch, and feel. We've asked the community to rank their priorities, and it is interesting to continue to see East Main Street be the priority for the community, and then followed by Pine Street Plaza, as well as North Grand Avenue, and then it's kind of starting to get into several projects. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Phil, who will talk through what is supported and through particulars of the Storybook.
So through all that input, what have we heard? And not surprisingly, we heard make it people-centric, which we kind of understood that's what our objective was, because we want people to enjoy downtown. How do you achieve people-centric? Well, wider sidewalks, you're reducing the traffic, you're giving people more space to hang out and do things. You're also giving businesses opportunity to expand into the public realm. And I think that's all pretty intuitive to us. But you give them a couple more feet on the sidewalk, and now the seating gets a little bit more comfortable. You're a little further away from the traffic. It's just a more comfortable place to be. Also opportunities for beautification. Instead of just hard surfaces everywhere, finding opportunities to put in softer landscaping, not just trees. And then kind of one that's not completely under our control, we've heard, is more retail businesses in downtown, because people need something to go to. Streetscape amenities, slowing traffic, parking management, and bike facilities. Those are all things we heard and were supported. So how do we take infrastructure and support those ideals? Well, one of the things that you've probably heard this term is right-sizing the roads. Right now, I can't remember, Sean, if I use this pointer, or does it matter which way, if I can use this pointer on here? I guess I can't see that one. Which way, you'll have to give me a lesson. I apologize for that. Yeah, I'm trying to.
Here. This main button, yeah. But what one is it showing? You can see it a little bit up here.
Okay.
So there we go.
Thank you. So on the section from, and I'll use words, from, we can say Spring Street or we can say Paradise on Main. Right now, that's a 3-lane section. It doesn't need to be a 3-lane section. So let's take opportunity to reduce the vehicle load through there and give that back to the sidewalks and make it people space. Through a bunch of traffic modeling, we determined that the section between Kamiaken and Grand, that still does need to be a 3-lane section through there in order to not create gridlock in downtown. So right-sizing the roads, putting bulb outs at the intersections, those are opportunities that start to make this feel as people-centric as you can in a downtown. So what does that look like in the sidewalk cross-section? Because a lot of us, when we say sidewalk, we're thinking, well, there's a bunch of concrete in there. There's a bunch of opportunities to do things there with color in the ground plane, landscaping. Right now, the trees have grates around them, but we're looking at expanding that footprint and providing actually plants in that area because it softens it up. Does create a maintenance issue. And when you get into design level details, those are things we have to talk about with city staff. Gosh, if we use this type of plant, it's going to require this type of maintenance. So opportunities for pedestrian scale lighting. Right now it's Cobra heads. You bring those lights down to 14 feet. It feels more comfortable at night. Those are banner poles, opportunities for outdoor seating for the businesses. And so those are directions we're headed to be more people-centered. This is what that looks like in a plan view and a cross-section. So at the top of the slide, we've superimposed the proposed cross-section on an aerial photograph of the existing cross-section. And if you look at the curb line, here's the existing curb line. And we're looking at pulling that all the way to here. Down here on the south side, the curb line's here, and we're moving a little bit. But look at the way that the bulb out here reduces the distance that a pedestrian has to cross. That's a pedestrian-friendly approach. You see in the cross-section here, we've got 2 lanes of travel, parking on both sides. We have a bike lane here, and I'll talk about that in a second because that's a specific design issue. And then the opportunity to move the trees further away from the storefront. And I know that's a challenging topic to talk about because the trees are beautiful, but if we leave them where they're at, they kind of end up right in a travel way of your sidewalk, and it limits when you expand those sidewalks. Additionally, they obscure some of the buildings, and you guys have some beautiful architecture in downtown, and by pulling those trees away, that architecture gets exposed. But it is a challenging topic because, and that's one of the things we've seen in the comments, that the trees are really great, and they are, but they present a challenge as well. And so this is Pine